All right, thank you for listening. This is Joe Zamataro from PWCMuscle, joined along with my good friend, co-host and co-owner of PWCMuscle, Greg Hall.
What's up, guys?
So this is our inaugural podcast, something that we wanted to bring to you guys as a way that we can reach out a little bit more, get a little bit more active with both our Facebook page, YouTube, and just putting additional content out there. And something that we've been looking forward to do for quite a while, and really excited to get started.
Absolutely. We're excited to talk to you guys and maybe get to meet some of you guys that are listening in the future. We go out to a lot of the race events if you're in the PWC scene. So you may have even met one of us before.
Yeah, and again, in the future, we plan on having quite a few interviews and guests on here. So what to expect from the show is really we're going to focus on personal watercraft subjects, but a lot of it's going to be talking sports and bringing up news, stuff that keeps it interesting and fresh. And really also it's just a good way for Greg and I to have an excuse to hang out together, have a beer, and share a little bit of time, since it gets harder and harder with having kids and life going on.
Absolutely. We'll try to keep it entertaining for you guys the best we can. Maybe comment for some ideas on topics. We're always open to that, to keep going. So we want to entertain as well.
So the first subject that we're going to talk about today, it's worth mentioning for PWC Racing that the P1 Aqua X is having their world finale in Key West this weekend, and it's something that should be exciting. It's the first time having it in Key West, so I'm sure it's going to be a great event. They're always a lot of fun to watch. Yeah.
The P1's one of the biggest in the world at this point, and they've done a really good job locally here in Tampa, in Florida. They broadcast the events on Sun Sports, so check that out if you haven't seen it. It's pretty neat. They do a really good job at that.
And this has been a really close season as well, with Chris McCluggage and Eric Francis battling it out race after race. Right now, Eric Francis, who is one of our one of our sponsored riders, is only 22 points behind McCluggage. So this race is something that we'll be talking about on our next podcast, and wish the best of luck to all the riders, and really excited to see how this one finishes.
Absolutely. Best of luck to all the PWC Muscle sponsored riders, and the rest of the pack for that matter.
So yeah, next week we'll focus more on some of the racing and talked about how the whole championship broke down. Give you guys a taste of some information from Eric on on how his season went. But moving on from personal watercraft right now, let's get into the other real hot topic this time of year, which is obviously the NFL. And since it's coming into the last few games of the regular season, we have our fantasy football playoffs coming up.
Yeah. So it's playoff week one. Hopefully, everybody made the playoffs, and the better teams, of course, a lot of the teams draw byes in the first round, so you get to kind of watch everybody else lose as you move on without having to do anything. I was lucky enough to make the playoffs in all my leagues this season, and draw a bye in two of them. I'm playing in three.
What happened in that third one though?
The third one, I just barely got into the playoffs, kind of due to a technicality. So we changed the format up this season. It's a 14-team league. The way that it is 6 teams make the playoffs, and it's 2 divisions, 2 7-team divisions. And the way that it's been set up in years past is the top 3 from each division make the playoffs, no ifs, ands, or buts. But at the beginning of this season, we had a little discussion amongst the league and decided that the top 4 teams are going to make it for wins, and then the last 2 teams that make it, regardless of record, make it due to points. So I was the very last seed, the 6th seed. But the question came in is 4 teams that made the playoffs were in one division, and some people we're thinking that it should be 3 teams from each division, so the highest points in the second division make it. But under closer review, we looked at the original posting, and that wasn't cited. So
you slipped in that.
So I
that
slipped
last
in. 4 teams from one division, and only 2 teams from the other division made it. But I'm pretty happy about that. My team's a little suspect though. So
How pissed was that last guy that took that spot? Has he commented yet?
no, he hadn't said anything to me. Probably waiting to laugh at me after I lose in the first round here. But
At least he gets to play for the Toilet Bowl series, right?
yeah, there's the lower teams. The lower four teams get to play, and whoever wins gets their money back. So there's something there for them.
So who do you have on your fantasy team? Who's been performing for you? And
Well, at the beginning of the season, everything was looking good. The reason that I'm one of the highest scoring teams is because my team, I took off the 4-1 record at the beginning of the season. Had Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Emmanuel Sanders, and Devontae Adams as my wide receiver set. And in a 14-team league, this PPR, that's pretty good. I went wide receiver in 4 of the first 5 rounds. Luckily, in the second round, I grabbed Todd Gurley, and that's been huge for me. And then I had Dak Prescott, who's been terrible as of late, but at the beginning of the season, he was just killing it every week. Trying to think of who else I have. I have a few other guys. I've been riding Hunter Henry all season, which has been up and down.
I just pulled up Gurley's fantasy points by week, and like the first 4 weeks, you see that he's way over his projected points. One week getting 32 points after only being projected for 12.
Yeah. So because of him and a couple other guys, I started 4-1, and then of the last 5 games, I think I've lost 4 games. I think I went 1-4 in the last 5. So
yeah, you can see his production going way down as well.
Yeah, I started out really nicely, but quickly fell off.
You said that you had Mike Evans. I'm sure that suspension didn't help you very much.
No, but even when he's been playing, he hasn't been doing much of anything anyway. Jameis has been injured. The addition of Jackson hasn't helped at all because it's just an extra person for him to throw to. And then of course the tight ends. You got Howard and Cameron Brate. Brate had 2 touchdowns last week. He's just ridiculous.
I say Brate was having a really good game.
Yeah, him and Jameis just have a thing going on. In last season Evans did too, but for whatever reason they're just not on the same page. So if I want to win this week, I need Mike Evans to step up. So that's why I'm kind of not holding my breath. He's being in Tampa. I'm a huge Mike Evans fan, but fantasy wise, he's letting me down.
Well, you're saying not sinking, but a couple of weeks ago, the reason he got that suspension was actually standing up for Winston after Winston got pushed by one of the, I think it was one of the cornerbacks, pushed him, and then Mike Evans came in and just took the guy down.
It was Lattimore, the rookie in New Orleans there, but I think that was also frustration too because Lattimore had shut him down all game. He couldn't buy a catch, and I think it was a frustration thing. So, is what it is. Like I say, the other 2 leagues I'm in with a buddy of ours, and I got second place out of 12 teams in that league. So I got a bye week in that, and I get to watch everyone else hopefully destroy each other, and then catch them in the second round. And then there's another buddies league that I'm in that I got first place in out of 12 teams. So
well, that's being towards the end of the season, you always get a lot of injuries or players that are not playing at 100%. So it can really be somewhat of a shit show for who's going to end up performing for you.
Yeah, especially when you have players that are being ejected and suspended at a rate I haven't seen in years.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, there's been a lot of fighting in the NFL, it seems, this season more than any other. And you mentioned that Mike Evans was actually getting really frustrated out there. And I think that more frustration was seen in the past couple of weeks, especially with this Michael Crabtree, Aqib Talib fight brawl that they got into.
Well, being Tampa fans, we know all about Aqib.
Yep.
He's got a temper. He got in trouble quite a bit on and off the field when he was in Tampa. So it doesn't surprise me one bit that he's a top 5 cornerback, just with a short fuse. But he's a great player. So
Oh yeah,
I wish he was still in Tampa, but
there's definitely no denying his ability, but he really is such a hothead. I mean, that's to intentionally go after Crabtree's necklace for the second time. I mean, just where's your head at?
The funny part is Crabtree. I found it kind of funny that Crabtree taped his necklace to his chest. Aqib Talib found out about that and made a point to
a challenge, like it was a
like he's like try it if you can. And Aqib's like, okay, here we go. But there's AJ Green got in an altercation and ended up punching Jalen Ramsey in the face. Ended up getting no suspension for that, which that makes absolutely no sense to me.
Well, it hasn't really been very consistent.
No, it's not consistent. When this week you got Juju Smith-Schuster, who basically lays the wood on Vontaze Burfict. Mm-hmm. And it was a little high. It looked like he might have caught him a little bit on the chin, but I think he must have gotten suspended because he kind of taunted him after he laid him out. But Vontaze Burfict, he's known for doing that to other people. I'm not saying 2 wrongs make a right, but
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, if nothing else, the NFL really does try to suspend these guys, show fans and those watching that it's supposed to be a much cleaner game. But I mean, hell, I find it pretty entertaining watching these guys go off on each other. It's kind of like watching accidents happen in a NASCAR race. You can't help but enjoy when the unpredictable events go on. And I mean, man, if it almost feel like if the XFL had continued going, that this would have been kind of the route that you'd see a lot more stuff.
Yeah, they should bring it back.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, no, a lot of people would watch it. A lot of people still watch wrestling, which is interesting to me because it hasn't been good in years. But they got some interesting characters, I guess.
Other things in the news, again, since we are based out of Tampa, this is something that made national news. I mean, when I was out of the state for a few days, and it was being covered in another state on the news with the Seminole Heights Killer. They're covering as if it's in their own backyard, but we had 4 murders that were all connected from the same guy using a gun, and that's right in our backyard. That where these were taking place.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a scary thing. A lot of people in the community were pretty worried about it, understandably. Seminole Heights is a pretty small community. It seems to be a pretty tight-knit community, and you have something like that going on in the middle of the night. You just, it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing. There's a lot of families there. There's a lot of young couples there. It's you got to watch out. You just want to watch out for your kids, and that's what a lot of people had to do for
a couple
50 days.
50 days, yeah,
51 days or something. That between the time of the first murder and
him being
finally caught.
That was kind of crazy the way that he was caught too. I mean, you almost feel like the guy was giving himself up.
It's either he was giving himself up or he was set up. It's something's fishy about that. The guy doesn't get caught for 51 days, and then all of a sudden he decides to give his murder weapon to his boss to hold for him. It doesn't make much sense. I figured that he got sick of living with this on his shoulders and finally just wanted to get caught, or either that or someone else did it and he's covering for someone. Mm-hmm. The police haven't really given us much information yet. His parents aren't talking to the police. They subpoenaed them for information and they said no. So
yeah, and they just had a trial about it this afternoon.
Did they?
Yeah,
I didn't hear about that yet.
Yeah, they try forcing them, but
well, that's what a subpoena is supposed to be, I think, right?
Well, the whole idea was that they don't feel that they should have to testify
because it's their son.
Yeah,
I understand. I understand that, but
Yeah, the McDonald's he ended up getting apprehended at. So for a little bit of backstory, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, there was a series of 4 murders, all occurred in Seminole Heights. It was at bus stops. It was at night. The killer was using a .40 caliber that they could identify was coming from a Glock.
That he registered.
Yeah, it was a registered. Yeah, so then it comes out that there was I So I live in Ybor, and he was actually working at the Ybor McDonald's, one that I would frequent now and then. When I was running
what do you
late.
think he did to your food when you went there?
From what I heard, there was reports that he was the type of guy that would drop it on the ground and try giving it to customers, and he was caught doing that. I don't know if that holds any water.
Would that surprise you? Someone that,
yeah.
that killed people?
Well, I mean, from his background, from what I understand, he grew up without a lot of money. He did well enough in high school to go to college. He graduated college with, I think it was a sports, like a sports health degree. And then he got a job in his field right after college, which is amazing.
From what I understand, he worked for the NBA for a short while, and then was let go.
And well, he was let go for attendance problems, and then ended up getting his job at McDonald's there. And I guess, I mean, from what it seems, the guy must have just gone off the deep end, gotten really depressed or something, and he purchased his firearm from a gun shop, waited the 3-day grace period, and then like 2 days after he picked it up is when he shot the first person.
Yeah. So he did it the right way. He got the gun the right way. It's not like he had some stolen gun off the street. It's perplexing. Something's fishy about it. I mean, maybe the guy just went off the deep end and just was.
Yeah, and then he takes his gun. He has it in. I guess he had it inside the. He drove to work. He had it inside that McDonald's. Put it in a McDonald's bag. Handed it to his manager and said that he'll be right back. He's running to Amscott.
Yeah.
And then his manager finds it, and immediately, I think there's a police officer actually inside the McDonald's. Reached out to the police, and they were waiting for him when he came back, and he went without a fight. Yeah. I mean, he must have been wanting to get caught. He could have just stashed it in his vehicle, but that's got to wear on you after a long time. People trying to find you, and he was just done. It's been something that it's really crazy to see it make national news, and then also be like, literally, I've been to that McDonald's, probably more often than I should admit. For this to be right in our backyard.
Yeah, it's scary, and thankfully it's over, or it seems to be over. That's a good thing. That's awesome that the community joined together and got that done. There's been a lot of community efforts here in Tampa that have raised a lot of money for the victims and victims' families, and it's a good thing. Tampa Bay Lightning had something going on last week that.
Was it Stamkos was out there?
Yeah, Stamkos, Hedman, and JT Brown. I know JT Brown's led a large social media initiative to kind of spread awareness of what was going on and to raise some money, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and that McDonald's worker, the manager, I guess is going to get $110,000 for having turned them in.
Yeah.
The reward money.
As they should. Honestly, as they should, because that is kind of guaranteed to everyone. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, how life-changing is that to be a manager at McDonald's and then your bank account's going to get? I wonder how I have no idea, but I wonder how they do the taxes on that. If that's something
they probably take half of it.
Yeah, it's still a pretty nice chunk of change and you got to feel so good about yourself. She issued a statement here. Actually, I have it. I went into work on Tuesday intending to serve customers and do my job. The day turned out very differently. When confronted with this situation, I wanted to do the right thing, and I reached out to a nearby police officer. Receiving a reward entered my mind. Looking back, receiving a reward never entered my mind. Looking back, I am grateful to know I was helpful in assisting law enforcement. I hope you can understand that out of respect for the continuing investigations as well as the victims and their families, I will not be answering questions, but please know that I appreciate all the well wishes and kind words of our community. Oh, good for her.
Yeah, good for her. It's like I say, it's her money now. I think they should give it to her. I know Crime Stoppers tried not to give her money, and then a lot of people got pretty upset about that.
Well, all the victims' families were coming out and saying how thankful they were that they can get some closure to all this, because it's pretty devastating having a family member killed and then having no idea if you'll ever find resolution. So it's good that it's come to a head and come to an end here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So speaking of coming to a head and coming to an end, we're going to wrap this particular podcast up. keep it nice, short, and sweet for our first one, and hopefully be bringing to you regularly, semi-weekly or weekly, more content, and we have a lot planned for this. Thank you very much for listening. Obviously, you can hear a lot more of our, or see a lot more of our videos through our YouTube channel, where this will be uploaded, through our PWC Muscle channels, and join us on our forums on pwcextreme.com. If you have any content that you want to hear or anything you want us to talk about, please hit us up on any of our social media. We definitely love to have input and hear from you, and thanks again for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in and listening. And like Joe said there, if you have any ideas for anything, drop it in the comments here. Let us know, and we'd be happy to talk about it. Thanks, guys.
All right. For Greg Hall, I'm Joe Zamataro. Later.
See ya.